Welcome back, students. So, in the previous lecture, I've started the 7th chapter of your NCERT book, that is directing, and we have talked about the elements of directing, that is supervision, motivation, leadership, and the communication. So, now we'll be talking about these elements in brief. So, the first element, the first basic element of directing is supervision. So, supervision, if we talk about supervision, it can be understood in two ways. First, as an element, second, as the functions which is performed, as the functions which are performed by the supervisors. So, as you can see here, it is derived from the Latin word super and vision. That means super means over and above means above, and vision means to see. So supervising means overseeing the activities. So let's understand it in two ways, that is as an element of directing and as a function which is performed by the supervisor. So as an element of directing, supervision means overseeing and guiding the employees and giving the instructions to them to accomplish the desired objective. So as supervision is an element of directing, every manager in the organization, he supervises his subordinates. He supervises his subordinates, or he's overseeing and guiding them how to work. Then as a function, if we talk about as a function, so the functions and the performance of the supervisors, that is vital, that is very important to the organizations, because as they are going to guide the subordinates, that is how they are going to achieve the objectives of the organizations. So he acts as an important link between the management as well as the workers. He is the one who has to explain the plans and the policies effectively to the workers. Understood? Then only they will understand how to work, and they will achieve the objectives of the organizations. So he is also known as foreman, overseer, superintendent, section officer, etc. Now let's talk about the importance, role, functions. Importance, roles, or the functions of the supervision or the supervisor. So the first importance of supervision is day-to-day contact with the workers. You all know, since they are the one who is going to guide them. They are the one who is going to guide them or lead them. So when they come to guide and lead them, what happens? They come in the contact with the employees and the workers, those who are working with them. So what happens? They maintain the basic contacts with the workers. Then comes link between the management and the employees. So supervisor, it is an important link between the management and the workers. Therefore, he is in a capacity to find out the solution to many industrial problems at his own level. Understood? Then maintains group unity. Group unity means if they are going to lead them, then obviously they will understand that they are working for a particular goal. For example, in a department, if the supervisor of a particular department, they are going to lead them that this is the objective of the particular department, then only what will happen? They will understand that this is the objective and we have to work in coordination, we have to work in unity to achieve the objectives. Understood? So they will start, obviously they are going to work in coordination, and that will bring unity in the department and in the organization. Then ensures performance of work, as I gave this example in the previous point. So ensures performance of work. They'll work in unity, and that will ensure the performance of the employees. So a supervisor, he is helpful in maintaining the good quality of the products. He also ensures that the production goes strictly as they have predetermined, as they have decided in advance. Then provides on-the-job training. While being working in the organization, these supervisors, they guide. They keep on teaching, they keep on telling them that how to work on the various machines, how to work on the various departments. So get what they get as a trainee, they give them the trainings. Okay, they give them the training that how they will have to work while working on the organization. Then influences workers. By seeing them, by listening to them, the subordinates, they get influenced by whom? By the supervisors. Okay, so they get influenced to work for the organization. Provides feedback. These supervisors, they provide them the feedback. that how they are working, and as they get the performance feedback, they start developing work skills. Understood? So these were some of the importance of supervisions. Then comes the next, that is motivation. So motivation, it is the next element, the main next element after supervision. So all of you know that motivation, it is derived from the word motive. So motives, what they are? Motives are the expressions of a person's need. Okay, and hence they are personal and internal as well. So basically this motivation can be understood, or this can be understood with the three interrelated terms, that are motive, motivation and motivators. Motive, it is an inner state or the desire which has to be achieved by the individual. Motivation, that's the process. And motivators, they are the one, or you can say they are here, they are the superiors who are going to motivate, the incentives or the techniques which are used to motivate them. So after motivation, after understanding these things, there comes the features or characteristics. So it is an internal feeling. Motivation, it is a psychological phenomena which generates from within an individual. So needs are feeling arising in the mind of person that he lacks certain things. So such feelings, it affects the behavior of that individual and causes him to do work. So hence motivation is a process of making an individual feel his needs. Then produces goal directed behavior. Goal directed behavior means once the subordinates will get motivated, they will start working towards their goal. Until unless they are not motivated, either it's financial, non-financial, they won't be working for the goals. Then it can either be positive or negative. So positive motivation, it provides positive rewards like increase in pay, promotion, recognition, etc. Whereas negative motivation, it uses negative means like punishment, stopping increments, threatening, which also may induce a person to act in the desired way. Then it is a complex process, or you can say it is a difficult process. Okay, because needs are mental feelings which cannot be detained and measured accurately. You cannot understand that how much the particular person need to get motivated. So these were some of the features of the motivation. Then motivation process. So the process of motivation means an attempt to know from where it starts and where it ends. So the work of motivation, it is not completed at one go, rather it's a combination of many steps. Okay. So these are the cycles: unsatisfied need, then the tension, then drive, surge behavior, need satisfied, and reduction of tension. So if we talk about the first one, that is unsatisfied need. So at the first step of motivation, a person feels that the need of something, or there is a feeling that he lacks something. Okay, then tension. The person concerned gets tensed at the very idea of his need not being satisfied. Then drives means some sort of tumult, you can say, in the mind of the person concerned. So at this step, the person concerned to fulfill his need. Then surge behavior. Okay, so at this, a person tries to discover the different options. He tries to discover the different options to fulfill his need. He tries to search for his different options. Then need satisfy. If the option really happens to be correct one, since he was searching for the behaviors, he was searching for various options, and if he'll get some, so what will happen? His need will be satisfied. And reduction of tension. Once his need will be satisfied, there won't be any tension. So what we conclude from here is that when a person gives a good work performance, there is some need lurking in the background which is continuously exerting pressure on him. So therefore needs continuously motivates a person. If there is a need, then obviously he is going to get motivated. This we have already done. Then after this motivation process, importance of motivation. So the first one, improves efficiency and performance levels, that you all know. Once one person is getting motivated, his needs are getting fulfilled, then obviously he is going to work efficiently, and that's going to improve the performance of the company. Then helps to create positive attitude. Most of the time these needs are positive only. This motivation plays as a positive attitudes. Okay, so if the organizations reward them properly and they will understand their needs properly, the subordinates need properly, then obviously they are going to get motivated in a positive way. Then reduces employee turnover and absenteeism. As you can see the picture here, he is totally absent, he is not there. So once the person is getting motivated in a proper way, he will start feeling more to work for the organization. His confidence level will just boost up, and he will start feeling like working more and more for the organization. Then accomplishment of organizational goals, this we have already talked about. He is going to achieve the organization goals effectively, and then helps to accept the changes. He is motivated, he is getting motivated, then what will happen? Whatever changes will be introduced by the company or by the organization, then that changes will be accepted very easily by them, and they will start working according to those changes. So these were some of the importance of motivation. Then comes Maslow's need. This Maslow's full name was Abraham Maslow, and he was a psychologist, eminent US psychologist, who offered a general theory of motivation, and this was also called as the need hierarchy theory. So this was Maslow's need hierarchy theory of motivation. So this you can read Abraham Maslow's about him. If you only have a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. So he gave the need hierarchy theory. He felt that people have a wide range of needs which motivate them to strive for their fulfillment. Okay, so you can see here, this is the hierarchy, Maslow's need hierarchy. So the first one is physiological need, then second one is safety, then third is affiliation, fourth is esteem, and the fifth one is self-actualization. Now let's talk about these in brief. You can read this. He says that it is based on human needs, satisfy the human needs, and take a hierarchy. So why this was introduced? To motivate the employees. So the first one is basic or the physiological needs. So if we talk about basic needs, they are the needs like food, water, clothing, shelter, all these needs. So these are the primary needs of any human being. Okay, so according to Maslow, until these needs are satisfied to the extent necessary to sustain the life, these needs remains the motivating force. So these are the basic needs of the human life. Then safety and security. After basic needs, what we need? Safety and security. So by security, what we mean? The feeling which involves being able to hold on to what one has. So being sure that one will be able to fare as well in the future, as well as in the past. So thus these needs includes to be free from physical danger or the fear of losing a job. Okay. Then comes social or affiliation. Another name for social needs is affiliation or belongingness. So it includes the need for love or the need for affection or desire for the association with others. Okay, so it becomes more prominent and the motivating force. Then comes esteem needs. Here examples also you can keep on reading while listening. Esteem needs. These needs include the desire to enjoy the social approval, self-esteem, all these things. So such a knowledge contributes to the feeling of self-confidence. Okay, esteem or self-respect, you can say. It generates satisfaction such as power, prestige, status, everything. Then fifth one is self-actualization needs. So this one refers to the desire for the self-fulfillment or the self-achievement. So, or you can say it is the desire to become what one believes to be capable of becoming. He wants to maximize his potential and accomplish something, then that can be done easily with the self-actualization need. So it is regarded by Maslow as the highest in the hierarchy need. Got it? So these are some of the examples from the view of individual as well as from the organizational view. You can go through it. So he gave emphasis on three things: that human wants are unlimited, they are arranged in the series of preferences, that mean basic needs and safety, affiliation. Then a need can never work as a motivator. A satisfied need can never work as a motivator. So before coming to incentives, let's talk about the assumption of Maslow's that we have already talked. Let's come to the conclusion of this Maslow theory. So Maslow's theory, it has been widely recognized and appreciated. It was very much appreciated that time, and it helps managers, even now also it helps managers to realize that need level of employee should be identified to motivate him more and more. However, it has been criticized also by some of the writers. It is said that the need hierarchy theory may not follow the sequence. It may not follow the sequence because for some basic needs are the first, for some esteem needs are the first. So it was also criticized by some of them. Okay. But despite such criticism, the theory is still relevant because needs are important to understand the human behavior. Then comes incentives. So as I told you, motivation, it can be two, either financial or the non-financials. Okay, so these incentives are divided into two. Incentives, they are given for what? For satisfying the needs as well as to motivate them. Financial and non-financial incentives. So if we talk about financial incentives or the financial motivations, they are related with, as the name is suggesting, they are related with money. So it includes wages, salaries, bonus, everything. So however, such incentives may not always prove to be motivating, but in many cases, in most of the cases, management have to increase this financial incentives to keep them work for the organization. Okay. Until unless they are not going to get the financial help, financial motivation, most of them may not likely feel to work. So money, it is really a motivating factor when these physiological security needs have not been fully satisfied. Okay, you can see here rupees, that money is playing an important role. So that is financial need. Then comes the types of financial incentives. What can be the financial incentive? So the first one is pay and allowances. So for every employee, salary, that is the basic incentive, that is the basic monetary incentives. So it includes this basic salary includes basic pay, diurnal allowance, and such other allowances also. That means other facilities what they are getting other than the salaries. So the employees, they remain motivated for the whole year. Then productivity linked with the wages incentives. The employees, the workers, they are motivated if they are given productivity wages incentives. That means the increment in the salary or the wages. Okay. Whatever they are getting, then adding some more incentives to that, increment to that. Then bonus, it is also incentive offered over and above the wages. Whatever is means offered over and above the wages and the salaries, that is bonus. Then profit sharing, it is meant to provide a share to the employees. Okay, share to the employees in the profits of the organization. Then co-partnership and stock option, this is something different. So co-partnership, it is developed from form of profit sharing. So under this, the employees, they provide their services to the company and they are also the partners in the equity capital. So consequently what happens, the employees, they get dividend as well as the participation in the management besides their regular remuneration. Then comes retirement benefits. So after getting retired from the organization, they get some other benefits like provident fund, pension, gratuity, leave encashment, everything. So it acts as an incentive even when they are not in the service. Then perquisites. Perquisites in many company, perquisites or you can say fringe benefits. Another name is fringe benefits, that is additional pay, are offered such as car allowance, housing allowance, medical aid, education to their children, which is offered to them above the salary, over and above their salary. So that is perquisite, other facilities which they are getting. So these were some of the financial incentives. Then comes non-financial incentives or non-financial motivation. Non-financial, name is only suggesting that cannot be measured in the terms of money. So first, non-financial is status. Status refers to the rank, authority, responsibility which the employees get. So once they get the particular rank, particular status, then that works as a motivation. Then organizational climate. Climate means relation between the subordinates, between the employees and their superiors. So these are the characteristics which describes an organization. Okay, so they have the direct influence on their behavior, how they are going to work. Then career advancement opportunities, that means promotional opportunities, whether they are going to get promoted in that particular organization or not. Then job enrichment. These employees, they get bored by performing their routine job, so they enjoy doing the jobs which offer them variety as well as the opportunity to show their skill. Job enrichment means providing them with the various jobs under the same organization. Then employee recognition program. Recognition means giving the special regard or respects which satisfies their need. Okay. Then next is job security. The employees want that their job should be secured. Okay, then they should ensure that the safety and security is there of their job. And once the employees get job security, they lose interest. Once the employees get job secured, they lose interest in the job. For example, government employees, they do not perform efficiently as they have no fear of losing the jobs. So it must be given with some terms and conditions. Then employees participation that provides a strong motivation to the employees. Okay, it gives them psychological satisfaction if their voice is heard. That means they are also taken into consideration while taking the major decisions along with the supervisors. And the last one is employee empowerment, or you can say autonomy. It means giving more freedom to them. Okay, they should get more freedom so that they can use their positive skill to prove that yes, they are performing to the best when freedom is given to them. So these were some of the non-financial incentives. You can see here, these are some of the financial as well as the non-financial incentives. You can read it once.